Hey guys, how are things? My name is Darry Gibbs. I'm going to be interviewing Stuart Grehan today. This is episode 1 of the Happy Podcast. Stewie and myself go way back. We're in the same college, lived in America a few times, and Stewie is somebody who transitioned from not being in a particularly fit place a couple of years ago to being an absolutely fantastic fitness coach now. And he's currently a fitness coach with bike, row, and ski. And we're going to just going to dig deep for the next couple of minutes, half an hour, 5 minutes, whatever that time it is, into a bit about Stewie's life in a sense. And another reason I got Stewie on is he's a big advocate like myself in terms of mindset and trying to better yourself. And obviously we're in the same industry as well, so we can bounce a few ideas off you. So Stewie, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast, bud. I appreciate it. You're the first guest.
Thanks very much for having me. Delighted to be here.
But yeah, we'll just crack into it, bud. So, like, I know it was maybe 10 years ago or so for yourself when you're kind of coming into your late teens and early 20s, whatever, when you are kind of playing ball. How did you, or who were you playing for when you were, and how did you kind of go from playing ball to transition into not playing anymore and kind of transition into the coaching aspect of it?
Yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward, and I think a lot of schoolboy players or players around my age now will be able to relate to it. It's pretty hectic as a young lad going to school and playing football, and after school you go training and you have games on the weekend. And I played for St. Paul's for most of my schoolboy career, which would have been a pretty decent level. It would have been the highest level in the DDSL at the time.
Yeah.
And then from there I kind of moved into the Aircom League at the time, which would have been with Shelbourne and a little bit with Bows as well, Bohemians. I thought things were going well. I always was super ambitious as a kid and always wanted to make it into the highest level of Irish football, if not go across the level, which was probably a bit too ambitious for me. But yeah, I just kept cracking at that after school, and I was doing quite well and breaking in and out of the first team for training, and some little bits and pieces with friendlies with the first team with Shelbourne. And then from there I kind of realized, to be honest, that I wasn't really good enough. Had a couple of knocks and injuries come on board, and I just wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't fit enough. I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't fast enough. I wasn't good enough as a player. And it's only now that you really kind of look back and realize that you weren't good enough, and you had ambitions that probably weren't realistic. And then from there, in pre-seasons, we used to go as younger players, go and play in senior level AUL with Cabarruk and with Malahide and stuff like that. And even at that level, to be honest, it was a pretty big ask for someone like me. But all of them combined kind of years of playing with different sides at a high level, high senior level, made me realize that I wasn't good enough. And then from there I kind of just fell out of love with the game and started to pick up on coaching a little bit more. And that's kind of my football career in a nutshell.
And when did you, like, how old are you when you came to the realization that you felt you weren't good enough, like physically, mentally, all that kind of stuff?
I was probably moved on from Shelbourne into Cabarruk United at the time. In pre-season, I was captain of the under-21s with Shelbourne, and when I moved to Cabarruk, I kind of figured it out that I wasn't really getting any game time with what I would have thought at the time was a lesser standard, and Shelbourne would have been, but it's actually a much better standard than playing under 21s, because you're playing with a lot of kids and is at that under 21 level. But when you go into senior football, it's a lot different. That's when I kind of figured out that I wasn't good enough, and I was never going to be good enough. And I just really just fell out of love with it. And I to be honest, I stopped working hard, and that's always something that I've been I'd see myself as a really hard worker when I'm in anything. I always try and work hard anyway, but I
Yeah.
stopped working hard, and that's when I kind of knew it
Yeah.
wasn't for me anymore, to be honest.
Yeah, I get you. And like, how did that feel? Like, you know, you kind of came to the realization that, yeah, probably not good enough. I think just majority of young men who are half decent at football do have some aspirations of, you know, becoming a professional, I suppose. And then when you kind of get the realization, yeah, I'm not good enough, you might get a bit of a kick to the stones or whatever. But like, how did you deal with it? How did it make you feel when you kind of came to the realization?
I didn't necessarily deal with it well at all. To be
Yeah.
honest. I just stopped kind of uh, mixing with mindsets alike, to be honest, and I started falling into kind of being comfortable at home and going to work
Mm.
and 9 to 5 and then coming home and not really looking after myself at all, and putting on a little bit of weight, and not feeling good about myself when I was waking up in the morning, and that kind of just snowballs into
Mm.
the more kind of bad decisions and bad habits. So if you fall into a trap of just making a bad decision or create a bad habit, it tends to snowball from
Yeah,
there, really,
100%.
and it gets worse and worse and worse unless you actively make better decisions little by little,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah,
So
100%.
it was definitely difficult to kind of deal with, and I didn't deal with it well at the time. Psychologically, it was tough, and
Mm.
I kind of just got lazy and didn't really make the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And then, like, I suppose, like, everyone kind of has their own way of dealing with things, and it's totally, you know, individual to them, of course, what way somebody wants to deal with things. But if you could go back and give yourself some piece of advice, or if, like, what do you feel that you need at that moment of time to maybe not allow the snowball negativity going down, you know, not looking after health happen?
Yeah, if I was to go back in time, I just would have made better decisions earlier, to be honest.
Yeah.
'Cause I did eventually make good decisions because constantly uh, I'm constantly looking to be better in anything that
Mm.
I'm doing or anything I put my mind to. And even in work, to be honest, it was the exact same. I just didn't love what I did. I was
Yeah.
every morning, and I wasn't passionate about what I was going to go and do. I was an apprentice electrician at the time, and
Mm.
I just remember having a conversation with my brother and my mum and my dad, who are really good people that I had at the time around me, which always help when you have good people around you. But they helped me make a decision that was what I thought was massive decision at the time, and it could never go well if I was to change career paths so late in life.
Mm.
And what I thought was late in life isn't late
Yeah.
in life at all. I was 22 at the time, and I was an apprentice electrician, and I just wanted to change. I couldn't see myself being unhappy for another 30, 40, 50 years,
Mm.
and I just didn't enjoy doing. So it was kind of football and my occupation at the time, and I decided to go back to college and educate myself and make a big change, and change my career path at the time, to be honest.
Yeah, no, and like, I like massively respect that. Well, if you didn't, we wouldn't have met each other, I suppose. You won't be
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Exactly. But it also does take a lot of, it's like, it's very courageous to do that, because like a lot of people, you know, the parents or school tell them just do this, and then they're unhappy for X amount of years, and that can just spiral down into a life of unhappiness. At least you took, like, for people listening, Stewie took action to want him to live a better life and a happier life, which you mentioned there as well, because he said at 22 he was unhappy doing what he's doing. I think you can get a lot of gold nuggets from what he just spoke about there.
yeah,
And then it's like when we met in college, Stewie, like, well, actually, the first time we met was when we were in America. We won't
yeah,
repeat America. We'll just repeat basically college part. But when I first met you, obviously before, like, you were kind of like, you're overweight when we met each other, basically.
yeah,
And then you just kind of out of nowhere, you just kind of the first year of college overweight, and then you come back to second year college, our second year in America, and you're a completely different person. Mindset shift. You know, you're one of the fittest in the course after a short period of time. You lost a dramatic amount of weight. So like, what caused the, you know what, I'm gonna get my shit together? Like what was that moment that caused you to, you know what, I'm actually gonna get in good physical condition? Because you didn't lose weight, you got physically like you got extremely fit. So you went from overweight to not healthy, like to fucking very healthy.
I think actually that kind of spirals into the new career path that I took at the time. So when I was in America, it would have been my first year in college with you and a couple of the other lads from our degree, and I was overweight and really unfit at the time, and obviously we were only coaching over there in America. But as I said earlier, I had some good people around me, and when I went to America, Carl, my younger brother, had texted me when we got back, would I be interested in joining a gym, a CrossFit gym at the time. It was called Performance Therapy Ireland, and it was a CrossFit affiliate. I don't know if you know too much about CrossFit, but it's basically constantly varied functional movement at high intensity is what it's known for, and the CrossFit Games and super. I suppose there's a super big CrossFit community across the world out there, to be honest. But at the time, he asked me to join this gym when I got back from America, and it kind of goes back to spending your time with people who are like-minded. And I joined that gym with Carl, and I had already made some small changes in my life with my diet and creating good habits, and like, I think people get caught up with the end goal and everything that they're doing when they're change their direction in life. Like for me, I was overweight and I was unfit, and I think people look at the end goal like maybe it's a picture, or maybe it's a competition, or maybe it's a wedding or a birthday party or whatever it is they want to look good for and feel good for. I think they just have that one goal in mind, whereas if they just make small decisions every day, or better decisions every day, I think it will all come together eventually anyway. So
definitely.
I definitely changed my mindset in small bits and pieces, and I started to do HIIT workouts at home and just make better choices with food in my day, like increasing proteins and looking after my calories, which obviously helps when you're trying to lose a little bit of weight and get a little bit fitter. And then from there, when I got home, I joined that Performance Therapy Ireland CrossFit gym at the time. It's not affiliated anymore, but it was at the time, and we joined that gym under some really good guidance and coaches at the time, and all the members were really positive, and we're all on this same kind of journey of looking good, feeling good. Within Performance Therapy Ireland, there was an individualized program for everyone, so it wasn't just your usual CrossFit gym, one size fits all. It was individualized to suit. So we were guided through by all the great coaches there, and now myself and Carl obviously coach in that gym as well. So yeah, it was just that kind of big shift. But I think that the big turning point for me was my younger brother Carl. Me make them decisions, because he was always looking after himself from a physical and mental point of view. I think together we just walked into that gym, and we were educated in what training should look like and is, to be honest. And all the people within that community helped me go above and beyond in terms of my own fitness and development and health and well-being. And
100%.
So,
and I seen yourself and Carl doing a few competitions. Like, what sparked you getting into that aspect of CrossFit? Like, the one thing I love about CrossFit is one thing I actually promote massively for my business is the community. Because we're social animals. We like being part of, groups, families, friends, etc. And one thing CrossFit has, probably more than any other sport, or any more to say fitness businesses, for example, is the community. And I think that's just it's very admirable to see it. And I was just wondering, like, how did yourself and Carl then just make the shift to get into it? Or was it just kind of more like a goal for yourselves to kind of get yourself fit, or how did that go about?
I think it was a number of things. You're just looking at everybody else within that environment, and they were doing some amazing things. And I think like-minded people help you create better habits. So as I was creating better habits, I was finding that I was getting fitter, and I was
Yeah.
better, and I was feeling better. And the same with Carl. And I think the whole competition side of CrossFit is fantastic, and at the time I loved it, and anybody coming from a field sport background or another sport is generally quite competitive, and that's probably what led me down that kind of competition road in CrossFit or in the Irish community. But I definitely think CrossFit and other competitions alike within Ireland can be really, really good for building communities and helping people meet people, and the social aspect is fantastic. But I definitely think there are some negatives in there as well, and I would have seen that when I was competing at the time in CrossFit. And it's fantastic community, but at the same time I think not everybody should aim to go down that kind of road of competing in functional fitness or any type of fitness if that's not what they really want to do. Like I soon realized that it's fantastic being competitive, and it's fantastic being in a community with all the people that you love, but at the same time, for the most part, people just want to look good and they just want to feel good, and competing in CrossFit generally doesn't make you feel good, or it doesn't
I guess
look any better either, to be honest.
I know what you mean.
So there is a fine balance between competing and feeling good and looking good.
Yeah, it's actually interesting enough. I was listening to one of my mentors. He has his own podcast yesterday. It's weird brought up, and their kind of side of the fitness industry would be bodybuilding, for example. And he's talking about the difference between actually doing a competition and a photo shoot. And a competition is just dramatically strenuous on your body, and you're going to feel like shit. You probably don't even look that much difference outside of the stage. And that probably is similar enough to what you're trying to, or what you are explaining there. And then, Stu, like, when I knew you in college, it was coaching, and you're a good coach at that as well. Yourself and Cara, like, excellent coaches. And I know when you finish college, I seen you doing coaching, and then out of nowhere, can you see you just doing, like mostly strength and conditioning. Then, how did you go from coaching, or would you explain basically how you went from coaching into kind of what you're doing now with the fitness and strength and conditioning side of things?
Yeah, absolutely. I think managing and leading and personal development is all a massive part of what I do day to day, even now. And at the time, I was trying to make myself better without playing the sport of football. So the only avenue I could really go down was coaching. And to be honest, I love coaching, and I love coaching football or soccer for anybody who's listening abroad. I loved it, and I loved making decisions for the team and trying to help the team achieve their goals. And I think that was just me filling a void in college at the time. And it's only now that I'm looking back and thinking back on it. I was leading a group of similar like-minded people like myself, competitive young males, in the college setting to try and win and achieve all we could achieve at the time. And I think that was just me basically coaching people and helping people, and that's what I'm working at day to day now in the gym. It's kind of the same but different. I'm dealing with people in group settings just like I was when I was a coach in college. And when I left college, I did go into coaching in with Bohemians under 17s at the time, and I was always coaching with St. Kevin's boys for the whole duration of my degree, the 4 years of my degree, I would have been coaching in St. Kevin's.
Mm.
And before I actually started college, I would have been coaching with St. Kevin's as well. So
Mm.
I was always coaching to some aspect. And I think in Ireland, unfortunately, there's just no reward for coaching in soccer. I just don't
Yeah.
see any reward other than personal development, which is
Mm.
fantastic. But when you go beyond that kind of 6, 7, 8 year mark of coaching, there's financially it's just not feasible or sustainable to
Mm.
keep going unless you're just a volunteer that shows up after a day's work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
for me, that wasn't sustainable. And the kind of unsociable hours that I would have coached at would have clashed with my work at the time, which was in the gym, because obviously a gym runs from 6 a.m. right through to 9 p.m. So
Mm.
obviously it didn't it just didn't work with coaching schoolboys or seniors.
Mm.
Even though I love doing it
Yeah.
yeah, financially it didn't work, because obviously we've got to make a decision at some point in our life when we want to try and start saving for mortgages and you know uh,
Yeah. 100%.
paying for rent and food, and uh, you can't really live under mommy and daddy's roof all your life either, So
Yeah.
you've got to start paying some bills. So I don't think I just didn't see where the reward financially was going to come from coaching soccer, to be honest, or football.
Yeah. And just on, like, two of us were in the same course, and like I'm very, very grateful for the course of Carlo, sports management and coaching, for anyone listening, because that's given me massive skills in terms of my business now, social skills, communication skills, and obviously coaching, dealing with stress and conflict, whatever. Like, there's a lot of skills you get from it. Like, how important was going to Carlo for you in terms of what you're doing now?
Yeah, massively important. I think all the skills and that you've just named there are definitely come day to day within the course, and there's
Mm.
lots of conflict, and there's lots of team building, and there's lots of personal development
Mm.
day to day within the course. And I think like any course in college, you get out what you put in. You can
Yeah.
go there and do nothing, or get by, I suppose. But
Yeah.
me, at the time I was commuting up and down from Carlow to Dublin and going to work, and then commuting back up to Carlow that same night just to
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the next day's college. And I think college is for all uh, young people uh, is fantastic experience, but at the same time it's definitely you get out what you put in to your degree. And at the time I was a mature student, so it was always uh, my focus was a little bit different to somebody coming
Yeah.
from school.
Mm. Yeah. No, like, I think what was great, what I loved about the course was it was very practical. I'm not much of a person to sit, well, I won't be too bad now, but when I was younger, I wasn't much of a person to sit down and, sit down and write and type or whatever and try and study. And I think it was really, really good that it was practical, because from my point of view or my experience in life, I learn best when I'm doing things rather than trying to just watch somebody else doing them. But I think it is what, like you said, a really good point there is what you put in, you're going to get out of it. And I just noticed from a big chunk of people I knew in Carlo that they're just kind of there for the crack. Now, look, if you want to go to college for the crack, happy days. But regardless, that's going to transition over into your first job. If you want to, start coaching, set up a business, go into a fitness industry, whatever. So I think it is important to get into some good habits, like Stewie explained at the beginning, and try and transfer them over as you go along after college as well. But Stewie, you're touching on there, like, kind of like personal development. How, like, I like massive advocate of personal development, and I think everyone should be doing it in some sense, some shape or form. What, like, how long have you been kind of into personal development, and what kind of gave you the kick to actually start, every day I want to be better than what I was yesterday?
Yeah, I think from that kind of mindset change that we spoke about earlier, me changing my career path and going back to college, I think I definitely started to create better habits for myself daily in terms of like reading and educating myself outside of the degree, and taking on some voluntary roles which would have helped me develop more as a person to grow and continue to educate. Education just gives you tools that will help you reach goals. That's the way I see
Yeah.
it. It's just you're trying to build, I suppose. I don't know how to explain it any better. Education just gives you the tools that you need
Yeah,
to
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
reach your goals that you have, any goals that you might have or aspire to. And I was always into trying to make myself that little bit better. And at the time when we were myself and my younger brother Carl, we were in members of Performance Therapy Ireland, and we used to spend 3-4 hours every Saturday morning with the owner and head coach at the time of Performance Therapy Ireland, Stephen Moyman. And he used to just basically educate us from 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning right through until the first class started at 10 a.m. And it was
Class.
3 or 4 hours well spent. And he invested all of that time into us, and I suppose we are forever grateful for that, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was education outside of my degree. Although I would have been studying similar kind of topics in college, the level of detail and what I've learned from him alone is massive, and it will forever stand to me, to be honest. And
Yeah.
that led down the role of myself and Carl coaching within Performance Therapy Ireland as well, and educating ourselves further with other great mentors in the gym and outside of the gym externally.
And then was that like, how did that come about? Did you ask him, or like how did yourself get into what you're doing now, like the
It's
strength and
actually
conditioning side of things?
it's actually quite a funny story, because I asked to meet the owner and head coach Stephen at the time for a coffee, and we were members, and we would have built quite a nice relationship with each other, and we were quite friendly with each other and spent a lot of time chatting and mixing even outside of my gym classes that I used to attend. And I sat him down and I said, I want to open up a CrossFit gym. That was what I said. I said, I want to open up a CrossFit gym and I want you to help me basically do it.
Yeah.
And he laughed at the time, and he had other ideas and other plans for myself and Carl. And I think opening up a gym, especially a CrossFit gym at the time, would have been a very bad move, because a lot of people that get into CrossFit now, or even 2 or 3 years ago, would have been not making a bad choice or a bad decision. But I think people allow their enthusiasm for what they do within the gym take over, and they try and create a business out of a hobby, and that's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not a good way of approaching any business, to be honest. And not everybody will think the way they do, and marketing and running the actual business end of things is a lot more difficult than it may seem, and I'm learning that every day with Boy Girl Ski. It's a lot more difficult than it may seem, and
Yeah.
tireless hours go in, and it's it wouldn't have been a good decision at the time to try and open up my own CrossFit affiliate at all.
And then after that, then when you were discussing that, with Performance Therapy Ireland, did you get hired as a coach then for a while, or like
So
did you transition
the
after that?
education side of things on the Saturdays used to turn
Yeah.
into some Monday evenings as well. And from that education, I started to shadow within the gym, and I went and
Yeah.
done my. So I would have shadowed Steve a lot, and I went to do my Catalyst Athletics course in Manchester for weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting, and then because the program tends to be a little more complex for certain individuals within Performance Therapy Ireland.
Mm.
Obviously it's individualized, and you have your general population who just want to look good and feel good, which is
Yeah.
fantastic, and that's the bulk of the members. And then there is the small percentage of members who would have quite a complex program, and you've got to just understand it, and you've got to be able to manage the group, because you could have national weightlifting champs in the same room as Mary, mother of five, just wanting to look,
Yeah.
feel good postnatally, and just wants to move and sweat and get out of the house, which is
Mm.
absolutely fine. And yeah, these are the kind of diverse individuals you would have in that one group. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
shadowed for a long time within Performance Therapy Ireland, and then I would have became uh, one of the coaches there, and I would have spent a lot of time on the gym floor coaching and building
Mm.
relationships, and I really enjoyed it, and I helped Performance Therapy Ireland run competitions and
Yeah.
run community days, and I just loved everything that I was doing, because I was still dealing with people and still helping people achieve their goals. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the
100%.
kind of transition from, I started it in the second year in college, and I've been coaching since in that facility. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
And this was all before Boy Grow Ski came about now. So just so in case
Mm.
anybody was, didn't really understand what I was talking about with Boy Grow Ski and performance.
Yeah. 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 And with, like, I suppose this is a question for me, I suppose, in terms of just kind of get deeper understanding of what you were doing with Performance Therapy Ireland. You know, obviously you're touching on there the goals, and obviously building relationships with people. What, like, would you have weekly check-ins? You know, the way, like, say if somebody's doing personal training once a week, you might be checking weight and measurements and stuff like that. Is that the way that you would do that as well, or do you have kind of different goals, or what way is it working out?
No, everybody would come in, and uh, in Performance Therapy Ireland, you would have to run through a specific fundamental kind of one-to-one session with a coach. It could be one session, it could be three, it could be five, and it's just about making that person comfortable
Yeah.
uh, in that kind of environment, because there
Mm.
there is a lot of people within the group setting. So there could be 10 to 12 people on the gym floor, and obviously priority has got to be the new member coming in the doors, and
Yeah.
they've got to understand what's going on for the coach, because each session is coached for the full hour,
Mm.
and we'll do a group warm up. Everybody will go off and do their individualized program. So that within the gym, there is 5 different programs for people. So you could have
Okay.
just Mary, mother of 5, wanting to look good, feel good. You could have 5 guys on a strength and conditioning program. You could
Mm.
have 3 Olympic weightlifters down the back, and you could have some competitive CrossFit athletes on the floor as well. So yeah, it's more the stepping stone system
Yeah.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
for that person, and then once they kind of become comfortable with a lot of the movements, and they understand how the program works, and how each session works, then we kind of let that individual into the gym. It's more so to build kind of independence within that person, and help them
Mm.
understand that they're not alone, and there is
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
like them in the gym. And that's kind of how it works within Performance Therapy. And in terms of check-ins and goal setting and stuff, every coach every day is always checking in with someone, or
Yeah.
setting goals with someone. Or we also use the Fit Clinic, who is a nutritionist, and she works with a lot of the clients, or her team, Michelle Hone, work with a lot of the clients on the gym floor in Performance Therapy Ireland. But there's no I suppose, contract signing up to a nutritionist as soon as you walk in.
Mm.
It's completely down to yourself whether you want to add the
Yeah.
nutrition back to your training as well.
Okay, that's very interesting, man. It's very a lot of detail and a fuck ton of support they get as well, which I think
Yeah,
is something a lot of businesses, particularly, well, I don't know about, like, I'm just talking about fitness businesses, but definitely support is definitely something that is lacking in a lot of places, you know. And it sounds like they achieve a really good family, or Performance Therapy Ireland has a really good family environment as well.
Oh, 100%. Like
Yeah.
we've got such a diverse member within each class. As the days go by, every day is different, and everybody gets the same amount of support and the same amount of coaching. And whether it's myself or Carl or Deglon or whoever it is on the gym floor at the time, that they're all there to help and support that individual. And
Yeah,
we're all kind of a family, I suppose, and that's how you build a community, is showing that it's a relationship, not just not the gym where you just come in, hit your workout, leave, and nobody cares, you know.
Yeah. I think for anyone who's aspiring to get fit or learn a new skill, for example, going to a place that is going to guide you is so important. It's grand, you know, going to gym. Like the amount of, like, a lot of my clients with H and Fitness, before they came to myself, they would have said, "I tried this, tried that." And a big common thing that comes up is, I hadn't a clue what I was doing. I didn't have support. I felt intimidated. And I think it is important, no matter what you were doing, regardless of the price or whatever, like Stewie's something with there, if a place is a good family environment and respects their clientele, that is a place for you to go, because you're going to be enjoying yourself, and more important, you're going to get the results you want as well. Look good, feel better, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think that's, people can make, and I was trying to keep it as simple as possible, but people can make fitness super complex.
Yeah.
But within them fundamental kind of stepping stone into the gym setting in Performance Therapy Ireland, you would do like a movement assessment, a goal setting with a coach, and we would figure out what would best suit in terms of programming for that individual. So it's a consultation. You got to get to know the person before you just let them into a gym and randomly do different exercise with them. If you don't know their goals, you know, it's very difficult process to try and help them reach their goals if you don't know them. But I definitely think, like, within a movement assessment, you could have anybody walking into a gym. And this is where I was chatting earlier about CrossFit. CrossFit is a one size fits all type philosophy. And you could have Mary Mother of Five come in, and the workout of the day, or the WOD for some people, would be 100 pull-ups for time, or Fran, which is thrusters and pull-ups combined. And I don't feel that would ever be necessary for Mary Mother of Five coming in, who just wants to look good and feel good. So
Exactly.
There's a fine balance between building a great community, which CrossFit has, and programming for a person specifically to help them reach their goals. Fran, which is a CrossFit workout, and anybody who knows or who has done CrossFit will know what that workout is. Thrusters and pull-ups isn't really going to suit the general population. I always relate back to Mary Mother of Five. She doesn't need to do Fran, and she never do Fran, and there's no reason that she will ever need to do Fran to reach the goals that she wants to reach.
100%. And I think a lot of coaches, personal trainers, or like gym owners, or, you know, own studios or whatever, a lot of them do try and push, like, whatever way they train or their philosophy, they try and push on everybody. Even though Mary Mother 5, her goal is just to lose 2 stone. It's not to fucking deadlift 150 kilos as a 1 rep max and take a picture and post on Instagram. But some coaches fall into that. So I think for somebody who is shopping around for fitness, to get into the fitness, whatever, make sure that, you know, the coaches are open-minded and, you know, they know what they're talking about, I suppose. Well, you don't want to jump in as well.
Exactly. And there's so many online courses and online trainers, and they're all fantastic and doing great work. And I see some videos out there that are really educational and can help people a lot. But at the same time, a workout out your back garden that has 100 air squats, when Mary Mother 5 can't actually air squat because her mobility doesn't allow, and keep it as simple as possible, but her movement mechanics might not be fantastic in that movement. She should probably do lunges and single leg work instead of 100 squats. you know, it's all relative to the individual, and if you can't see the individual, a lot of the time there's going to be some bad movement patterns, and you're going to really hurt someone or end up hurting someone in the long run. And
yeah, definitely.
yeah, so that's
And
me
then
ragging on everyone out there.
And then on the bike row and skis, Stewie, would you give us some insight into that? Like how, so you're still coaching with Performance Therapy Ireland and you're doing this as well, or you're not anymore?
No, yeah, that's where the relationship that I had developed with Stephen Moyman. He came to me one day, and we had some space upstairs within the facility of Performance Therapy Ireland, and he had an idea which was bike row ski. At the time, he said to me, I'm thinking of setting up a new business, which will be called Bike Row Ski. We played around with a couple of names, or he played around with a couple of names that were quite funny to look back on now. But Bike Row Ski was the name that was developed, and basically all it is bike row and skiing within a studio, and it's using the Concept 2 ergs. Concept 2 released a bike erg about 3 years ago now. Yeah, it's about 3 years ago now. At the time they had the rowers and the skiers.
Yeah.
Then they released the bike erg, and that's when the idea came to Steve, and he came to me, and he said, I think we could combine all three ergs together in the one room in a heated studio, with some funky lighting, music, and coaching. And we wanted to create a fitness experience which had very little or no barriers to entry. So as I spoke about earlier with Performance Therapy Ireland, we obviously had a barrier to entry because someone would have to meet a coach before joining the gym. And that for people can be quite time consuming, first of all.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
A long process for somebody to change habits. And you know, this day and age, people seem to be working longer, sleeping less, probably in a lot of cases, and have young kids and other kind of I suppose other distractions. So we kind of chatted about this class, and I was at the time a little bit apprehensive, but obviously I trusted and understood what Stephen wanted to do, and now I'm operations manager for 5 franchises within Bike Row Ski, and I try and help support all the franchises that we have and grow Bike Row Ski to I suppose a national level, and then hopefully abroad sooner rather than later. So yeah, Bike Row Ski is just a low barrier. I don't want to make it too complex again, but it's exactly what it says in the thing. It's bike row and ski. You'll do 12 minutes essentially on each erg within a heated studio with a coach, and it's really low impact and very little contractions for people. So it's not, as I said earlier, Mary Mother 5 shouldn't go into a gym setting to do 100 air squats or Fran for time or anything like that. So it's basically catering for Mary Mother 5.
Yeah.
She can sit alongside Mr. Olympic or a professional rugby player, and they can both get the same
benefit of it.
Same benefit from that one session, whether it's building an aerobic base, whether it's burning a couple of 100 calories, whether it's just feeling good and looking good, or whether it's just going in for the social aspect of having some fun with a coach. And you know,
definitely,
yes, so that's what Bike Row Ski is. And we've got a franchise in Glasnevin, in Balbriggan, in Fairview, and one in Cork, in Douglas and Cork as well.
Happy days, man.
We've also got our studio in Concealy, which was the first studio to be launched.
Yeah. Perfect. Happy days, Stewie. That's going to good bit of information there.
Yeah.
I've one more thing I'd like to talk about, because even when I know it was particularly the second time we were in America, when you were getting to the stage, it's basically when you start performance therapy Ireland, and you kind of get really, or just before you started there, but you're getting into, you know, tracking your food. We didn't drink half as much the second year.
Yeah.
You know, we're exercising a lot more. And I just noticed it's kind of a big, obviously, a transition from not disciplined to disciplined. And obviously, you're extremely disciplined, you know, reading every day, always striving more, you know, getting up early in the morning to work, you know, a lot of discipline, like a lot of things that you're very disciplined in. So, what advice would you give someone who's struggling with at the minute?
I think the best thing to try and, I suppose, advise anybody on that might be listening is just setting small goals for yourself.
Yeah.
Like I really am a massive advocate in setting daily and weekly goals. Like every day, even in isolation with the coronavirus and having to stay home, I wake up pretty much every day and just set my goals for that day. And I don't mean goals as in take over the world or
Yeah.
you know, do a 7-hour gym session. I just set small goals for myself, like dial my food in a little tired than it was yesterday, or
Yeah.
you know, get up and walk 5K today, or read 10 pages of my book. And
Yeah.
weekly, I set a weekly plan every Monday. Generally, when I get up, I set my week's goals. And like one of my goals within the week is to read 2 chapters of my book. Like,
Yeah.
it's super simple goals, but it helps you tick off little things that you might not get done otherwise. Now, that's education. If it comes to training and food, I think people and Instagram is such a massive educational tool, but at the same time it can have quite a negative impact as a lot of people overcomplicate nutrition. And if it's just someone looking to change their mindset and get a little bit fitter and look a little bit better, it's just dial in your calories and make sure your
Yeah.
calories are you're taking in for that day are what you need energy wise, from an energy balance point of
Yeah,
view.
100%.
Like don't overcomplicate it. Don't talk about fats, macronutrients
Yes.
and proteins and carbohydrates. There's no need to really
Yeah, just keep it
overcomplicate.
simple.
Get your protein levels in that you need for you, and it's super easy to find out what protein an individual might need, and then hit the calories that you need. And anything you do in terms of exercise will just help you to your goals if it's losing that little bit of weight.
Yeah.
But I always say don't try and, I suppose, go cold turkey, if you want to call it that, and
Yeah.
all the bad stuff that you've been taking in, because psychologically that's the stuff that will keep you sustainable. Like most nights I'll have a cup of tea and a bit of chocolate, and I love chocolate, so I'm not going to take it out on my diet.
Yeah.
It's that one thing that I really enjoy, and if I try to start cutting that out of my diet, psychologically what I'm doing is not going to be sustainable. So a 200 calorie bar of chocolate is not gonna affect me in the long run. So yeah, it's all about just making small changes. That's all I'd say, and setting some really small goals for yourself to make yourself that little bit better than you were yesterday.
Yeah, 100. Fantastic points just given there, Stewie. And I think just on the food part as well, like people do try and overcomplicate it, and as a result, then they just end up binging and they go 2 steps forward and 14 steps back as a result. But like you said there, keep it simple. Like I think with everything you do in life, try and keep it simple as possible. Like make it as simple as possible for you that you can follow it on a daily basis and a consistent basis.
Yeah.
But what you were saying there was daily goals, weekly goals, not a massive. And by you doing that as well, Joe Rogan describes really good. When you get yourself into good momentum, you know, you're working out, you're eating good, you're ticking off goals, reading 3 chapters of your book, you know, spending time with good people, you're in good momentum, and it's hard to break that. But then on the flip side, if you have a load of bad habits and you're just procrastinating every day, self-sabotaging, watching too much Netflix, or over-consuming too many Easter eggs, for example, you're in bad momentum. And I think for the people listening and watching as well on YouTube, get in the habit of setting daily, weekly, monthly goals. And they don't have to be anything massive. And as well, I think what I used to be a fucker for was I'd see somebody who's in the gym 10 years and I'm like, oh, I want to fucking lift as much as him. Even though I can't. It's going to take me maybe 2 years to get that strong. So make the goal individual to yourself as well. Because I think like I was terrible for setting massive goals that just weren't realistic, and or trying to set a goal that just because I seen him do it or her doing it, I want to do it. Make it personalized to yourself as well.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Like it has to be individualized. Like I'm an all or nothing type guy. So if sometimes I slip up and I have 2 Easter eggs because I like having 2 Easter eggs. The beauty
I like it.
the beauty of setting daily goals is the next day I've got a chance to make better decisions. So it's not, oh, I've had 2 bad Easter eggs, but my goal is like 2 months down the line. So I'll have another 2 today and another 2 tomorrow, and then all of a sudden you have 6 Easter eggs when there's no real need. But I definitely think it has to be individualized. Like some people prefer working out, for example, in the evening, whereas I was, as you probably know, every single morning the first thing I want to do is work out, because I know that will set me up to make better decisions. If I do a workout first thing in the morning, and I'm like, I've tried working out in the evening, but I just make better decisions throughout the day. Way more productive. But that's just how I work. It doesn't mean everybody work like that, you know. And if you do have your Easter eggs, or if you do have a pizza on a Friday night, set a daily goal the next day to make a better decision on Saturday and a better decision again on Sunday. You know, it doesn't have to be the whole week ruined if you have a bad Friday or a bad Thursday.
Yeah, definitely.
Birthday party. So yeah, make the goals individual, or make your goals individual, and make better decisions every day. If you have a daily target or goal to hit, you're waking up the next day and you're going to start fresh.
Yeah, definitely, bud. Definitely. Yeah, no, really good points. Like amazing points. Stewie, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, man. Being the first guest, I've given absolutely valuable content for people to take away.
Thanks very much.
I'm sure you're going to help a lot of people out. But before I finish up, I'll put your information on the bios on YouTube and Spotify as well. But I suppose, like, what are you at the moment, and where can everyone find you? So what's your plan for the next foreseeable future, I suppose?
Plans for the foreseeable future to try and scale the business Bike Grow Ski and make it bigger than it is right now. And hopefully when we get through and we're allowed to open up studios again after coronavirus, we can scale, and we will look to scale with 2 more studios, hopefully very close to opening soon. I just focusing on scaling the business and growing and educating myself. To be honest, if you want to find me, it's Stuart Grehan, fitness coach on Instagram, and Bike Grow Ski Instagram page as well. You can find us at Bike Grow Ski, or if you want to reach out and ask us anything about the business Bike Grow Ski, it's info@bikegrowski.ie, and I'll be responding to you there as well.
Yeah, happy days. All right, perfect, guys. As always, any questions over that, tune in. I appreciate it. Toodaloo, guys. All right.
Cheers, give up.